This meeting is being recorded.
All right, we're ready to go. So let me kick off the presentation for today. This is what I'm calling the new way to job search. I got to actually share my screen here real quick. All right, and here we go. So the trick is not to apply online first. So here is this chart that I made off of the way the process actually works. And everybody tries to start at number 5, which is apply online, and then they move into the interview. And in actuality, more often than not, it starts at number 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And you'll notice that number 4 is actually the hired step. So I'm going to get into some details on this, but I want you to just take a soak in of this. And I mapped it out on the background of a football field here. And I think people always try to start at the 20-yard line in the opponent's end zone there. And it's really needs to start back at your 10-yard line, especially if you've recently lost a job or recently separated from the military. The grieving process is a critical first step, and I'll tell you why. Is because it how you make people feel is an important critical aspect of your job search. So if you're making them feel like you're not okay with the job loss, or that you're no longer feeling good about yourself, or you have bad feelings about your former employer, all of that negatively impacts the job search process, because as you see, it's networking that people use to find that job much quicker, and it negatively impacts the networking results that you get. So whether it's a talking it out, or whether it's journaling your feelings, go ahead and express them and get them out and get them managed and handled, and then move forward from there. And put the link to how you make them feel, the secret impact you may be having on your interviews on YouTube. But become okay with no longer being who you were. That's the basic process of losing that job and sense of identity. Then the next step is know your value. And so you may have heard of PAR stories, problem, action, result. A lot of times they'll tell you to get these in an interview, talk about an accomplishment that you had. I'm going to tell you that it's valuable in more than just interviews. It's valuable for your networking as well. If you are clear on your value, and we're going to cover this in just a minute, your networking efforts will become exponentially more powerful and exponentially more successful, because you're going to communicate value to a need, not skills to a job. I'm going to say that again. You're going to communicate value to a need and not skills to a job. And that's the fundamental shift that we need to make as job seekers. So identify what problem you solved and what value that was to the business. Do that 3 to 5 stories per job. Now, you will not be using 3 to 5 stories per job in an interview, in networking, probably ever in your life. But the reason that I'm stating this number is because I want you to be over prepared, so that should the conversation switch to something where you have an experience, but maybe you didn't cover and prepare, I want you to be prepared for that opportunity when it presents itself. Just be clear about what the problem was and what value it was to the business. And there is a ton of people here right now tonight who can help you with that if you've got questions. So definitely focus in on this first step. So networking, I'm going to stress getting the book, the 20-minute networking meeting, but I don't want you to get the book, and I don't want you to read the book. I want you to get, read, and use the book. I'm going to say that again. Get, read, and use the book, The 20-Minute Networking Meeting by Nathan Perez and Marcia Ballinger. The reason being is because it's the SOP for job search success. It's the way you move forward in the process for something that's not defined. You can roll into a new unit and be ready to roll because of the SOP. This is your networking SOP. And I linked to a couple of videos there, building virtual relationships, and pre-skill lessons still apply on networking. Treat people with respect, regard them with compassion, and build a network and a community. And then comes the hired step. Now, a lot of people will say informational interview. I don't like that term. I use informal interview, but it's still an interview, right? But you're not talking in this process. You're not talking about skills. You're not talking about experience so much as you are talking about problems, challenges, vision, goals, things that you've done, right? And so I use the example that I can't talk a lot about logistics because I'm not that guy. I talk about IT stuff because I'm an IT guy. So if we network around IT stuff and you're a fellow IT person, you'll quickly know that I'm an IT person, right? It's a professional identity. It's a professional recognition. But if you're able to explain that to someone about the values and the value and the challenges that you share, they'll resonate and they'll connect. And that's what the informal interview is about. I linked to a video called Communication Versatility, and that talks about adapting your communication style to the person that you're across from and to help them better resonate and click with what you're saying. It's a valuable, valuable video that I refer to people a lot. So take a look at that. And then finally comes apply online. And this is once you have the nod, if you will, this is where you work through your internal advocates so they can help you best. And there's, anytime somebody says to me, I'm applying for a job at Optum and I'd like, please help me, I immediately ask them for these three things: a copy of their job posting that they used, a link to it, a copy of the resume that they used to apply, and a bullet points of 3 valuable skills and preferably 3 valuable accomplishments so that I can help sell you. That's covered in this video, how to get more job referrals, on our YouTube channel. But this process will help make sure that you get noticed in the applicant tracking system. Now, having said that, I gotta make a shout out here for my recruiting friends. If you're not qualified, this still, if you don't qualify for the job posting, there, even if you get noticed, that still doesn't mean you're going to get the job, right? You have to meet the qualifications. So make sure that you're targeting in your networking jobs that you're highly qualified for. And then finally, the interview portion, which is the formal part. I'm going to encourage you to watch these 2 videos, Embracing the Interview Process and Nonverbal Communication. You want to communicate your passion, enthusiasm, and confidence, and you want to know the process of the interview. This is actually presented by one of the recruiters that came on, and she talked about the 3 steps of the interview process that you want to be aware of before, during, and after. It was a valuable presentation, so make sure you take a look at this. So thoughts, questions, counterpoints, commentary. I'm going to stop the recording